Greetings, mortals, and welcome. Please present your tickets for validation. Thank you. Your existence has been acknowledged, and you have been granted access every Thursday and Friday. You will be accompanying your guides, Krista and Brandy, along with a world-renowned guest. They will be exploring an intriguing tendril of what humans refer to as reality each week, as they strive to advance you further down the path to the truths of your physical earth and what lies on the other side. Remember to please keep your hands and feet in the vehicle at all times, and do not exit until the craft has come to a complete stop.
Hey, everybody. Welcome.
Hey.
Happy Friday. Woo.
I know. Woo. I'm not excited, everybody. I'm just saying I'm not excited.
I am. It's Friday. It's a weekend.
I know. I know you get 2 days off in a row, and that's, that's nice. But even if I were, do you know how many people that are just coming into this town? It has been astronomical. I mean, I know that it takes me about 20 minutes to get home from work. It took me like 35 today, about another extra 15 minutes. And
wow,
they're everywhere. Everywhere.
Piling in for the eclipse.
Yeah, they sure are. I understand that the eclipse is a big deal. And but the time of totality in this area, we are one of the ones that are going to have the best view. A lot of people in the line, they're like having thunderstorms or cloudy days and all this stuff. We're supposed to have light rain in the morning, and then it's supposed to clear off, and we're going to have partly to no clouds during the eclipse as of right now.
Well, I hope it's like that in St. Louis too.
I hope it is too. I hope it is too. I think it's really going to be cool to see, and I'm excited for it.
Me too.
And it's great for the town, but man, everybody who lives here are just like, whoo.
Moon at Noon is saying can't understand a word. Can everybody else hear us and understand? Huh.
Yeah, that would be something. Can everybody understand us?
Yeah, that's not good if they can't. Moon at Noon.
I know.
So we're on our normal stuff. Oh, Mickey G says can hear us.
She can hear okay, and everybody else is saying yes. So my suggestion is to log all the way out and come back in.
Yes, at Moon. So
yeah.
Yay. There is one thing we want to talk about real quick. You know what it is, Brandy?
I do. And this is something else that's pretty exciting.
It is.
This is May 18th to the wee hours of the 19th. We are having an event at Ashmore Estates in Ashmore, Illinois. Mm-hmm. This is a fantastic place. We're going to have speakers during the afternoon. We're going to be feeding you dinner, and then we're going to have you hunt with us till 2 a.m. It's going to be super exciting. We still have tickets available, but it's creeping up on us quickly. I mean, I realize it's just April, but we're talking just a little over a month away, and so really need to get your tickets now. And because we have limited spots available for all day and all night. So, this is not going to be one of those major events where we have all these people running around. That's not what's going to happen. This is a very intimate event. So you'll have all the time with the speakers you want. You can have all the time, you need for ghost hunting you want. And then you'll have them walking around personally to be able to talk to. So
Crystal says, can't wait to see you all again. Looking forward to seeing you again too, girl.
Yes.
We had a great time at Malvern with her.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, well, we had a great time at Malvern. It was a blast. I enjoyed it.
Bill and T
And
says, where is Ashmore in Illinois? Southern. It's kind of
yeah,
mid-state.
yeah, I would say so. I would say so.
Yeah.
You know, but it is out in the middle of nowhere.
It is.
And
literally.
Yeah. The good thing is that they grow corn out there, and sometimes the corn is so high when you're driving up, you miss it, but the corn's not up, so you'll be able to see it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be a great time. So anybody, how far from Peoria is?
I don't know.
Well, somebody asked, Bill and T. I would say at least a couple hours, probably. I think Peoria is north by Chicago, I think.
Yeah. I would say about 2.5, 3 hours, probably.
Yeah,
I would say it's not that far. Go ahead and throw that link out there again, Chris, in case somebody missed it. The chat is kind of moving.
Okay. It's out there again. I just posted it. So, and actually Terry Mosby, she's our friend from After Dark Paranormal. She's going to be there. And she's into like the UFOs and stuff. And it's hopefully the skies will be clear that night. And we can do some sky watching too that evening.
Right. And then if we have a little bit of time, I'm not saying that's going to happen. If we have a little bit of time, we may take a little convoy out to a little cemetery where a witch is supposedly buried. So you can take a look at that. Which, like I said, if we have time, I'm not going to say we are, but it's going to be a fantastic event. Like I said, and you're going to have all the time you want to talk to everybody you want to talk to. It's like I said, it's not one of these events where you have to stand in line and wait and just get an autograph and move on. It's not one of those things. It's kind of like this is where you can actually talk, interact, ghost hunt with, and ask them anything you want to ask. Yep. We have Jessica Potter coming. She is the psychic mermaid medium. And so we'll have a psychic medium.
If you have never met her, I have to tell you, like, she is an absolute hoot. She's a blast on the ground, and she's legit. She's the real deal too. Yeah, she is, and it's great to have a psychic medium on premises sometimes to get a different view or a different outlook, or maybe get more into a story or something that's happening. They can pick up on it and tell you something about it. So that's really cool. And her friend, Rachel Marie, a great person in her own right, will be there. And so those two are just loads of fun. So you'll have that. We have Josh Hurd from Malvern Manor, and he's just super nice. And he has his own haunted location where things go on, and he knows a lot of great people in the paranormal community, and just a wealth of knowledge. And maybe you can pick up a tip or two from him on how to investigate, because he does a lot of experiments in his own place. He's really outgoing, and he's a blast. He's a lot of fun. Crystal, like Crystal said, he is a hoot, and he truly is. He's a great guy, and a great guy to hang out with, and even better to investigate with. Right. And then we also have Robin Terry. We got to talk about Robin Terry. He's the owner of Ashmore, Illinois, and at Ashmore Estates. And the great thing about him is he has met all, and I mean all, of the people in the paranormal. They have been to his location. They have filmed at his location. I can't tell you how many times that his location has been on TV with these people. So I'm sure if you had any questions about certain celebrities, he'll be able to tell you. Like Jack Osborne has been there. Destination Fear has been there. Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters. They've all been to this location. And even more so, I can't think of them all right now. But it's a great location. It really is. And it's I don't know, it's just an amazing place. It really truly is. And Paranormal Paul will be there, and hopefully we can get some Wi-Fi in there, and he's going to be doing some lives. So you'll have to tune in to Paranormal Among Us. And Robin's been working on that. So let's see. So hopefully if we'll be able to go live, and if so, then we'll be doing some lives through his channel too. So so we'll get them all done. We'll get everybody's channel in. We'll do your live if you want to do a live on your channel. We'll do our live. We'll do Paul's live. We'll do everybody's live. We don't care. Do them all. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Josh will be here shortly. He is running a bit late, and So you guys are stuck with Brandy and I for
just for a few minutes. Just for a few minutes. Like it's like, yeah, we come to Blogs and Booze. Yeah, here we are.
right.
Here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about the eclipse because this is our last day together on air that we can talk about it. And I mean, does everybody feel like everything is going just absolutely berserk around them?
Mm-hmm.
I want to know if everybody else is feeling what I'm feeling. I'm not.
I had somebody, a friend of mine posted on Facebook, and she's not into any of the weirdness or anything like that the rest of us are. But she's like, right. For some reason, my emotions been up and down and all over. And I'm thinking, I know why.
Well, plus we're in Mercury retrograde,
right?
Going through an eclipse.
25th till the 25th. I've seen that.
Yeah. So
yeah.
If everybody is just, I'm not focused. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not focused. I feel like I have got too much stuff on my plate and I don't know what to do with it. It's like I can't get everything together. I don't have my stuff together. Right. It's really weird how this is all playing a part in what's happening. Usually going through the retrograde,
mm-hmm.
I'm okay. A little weird things happen here or there, or stuff feels a little, out of whack. But this is just bizarre.
Yeah, it really, truly is. So, there's some crazy stuff happening. And Mimi makes a point here, too, about the earthquake on the East Coast. I think New York got that.
New Jersey, I think.
Was it? Okay.
New York or New Jersey, it's somewhere in that area. At a 4.8, they all felt it.
Right. So, I'm telling you, there's some weirdness going on. Chris Anderson says, had to resubscribe the other day. YouTube had him unsubbed. So just remind everybody, make sure you are subscribed to all your favorite channels.
Oh, yeah. And I have to say this, that Chris and I both at one time were unsubscribed from our own channel.
True story.
So
it happens.
Check them.
Yeah.
If you notice, like on your favorite shows, if you're not getting your notification when they come on and they're supposed to be on and you don't get it, go and check.
Yep.
We've had a lot of that.
Mickey says, Brandy, car broke down today and I'm pretty sick. Well, we hope you get to feeling better. Mickey, prayers to you.
Well, don't worry, dear. Things are going to get better. Just give it about a week and a half.
Yep.
Everything should start coming out of retrograde by the 25th. You should be really good by then. So
Brandy, there is a question about retrograde that maybe you can answer. Spilling Tea with Spunky Sparky says, can you explain the retrograde thing, please?
Well, basically, in a nutshell, I can't go into the whole thing because this would take a long time. But basically what it is at the time of redirection, reflection, and basically getting your crap together. So at this time, when it comes through this particular time, you're going to feel like everything is just out of whack. Well, this is just telling you that maybe that you need to find your path and redirect and focus on where you need to go. It's not real crazy, but it affects a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And I've said this before, it's kind of like the moon, how the moon affects the ocean.
Yeah.
It kind of, all the planets affect us too. So you kind of have to take that into consideration. And with the eclipse falling in the middle of this, and of course we're aligned really funny right now. That's what's really crazy.
Yeah.
Again, it all depends on your vibration and how much you feel of that planetary pull.
Yeah. Yep. So Paranormal Paul says everyone have their glasses for the eclipse. I do. I bought some for the girls and myself, and yeah. Did you?
I did. My mother did. She's a good mom. Mm-hmm. She's a good mom. I'm like, can you get glasses? She goes, oh yeah, I know where some are. So she went and got us all some, and at that time I was having Mondays off. So everybody was planning, because where I live, of course, it's in farmlands, and I've got like 3 trees in my yard. After that, you can almost look directly all the way around my place and see everything. It's pretty flat. Right. And so everybody, in my family is going to come to the house and watch it for an unobstructed view.
Yeah.
Well, I have to work now. So I was like, dang, I'm going to miss the party in my house.
There you go.
They're all going to be partying in my house. I'm like, what the heck? What's going on there?
I'm going to take a long lunch, and then I had to sign a paper for the girls for school to be able to go watch it. And I went ahead and I bought them glasses because I bought better glasses than I feel like the school would give them,
Right.
So I told them they were my glasses that I bought them.
Yeah, right. Okay. So here we are. Does anybody remember when we didn't have the glasses and we have to make like a cardboard box and put like paper in the bottom and stuff, like the white paper, and then we had to tilt it down so we could see it inside the box?
I do remember that. Man, that was, geez, Brandy, we're telling our age.
Well, I know that, but I mean, they should still be doing this for kids. They should show them another way to see it.
Yeah.
Without looking at it.
I do remember that. Gosh, that was probably like the first eclipse I ever saw. So
probably. Yeah. Well, we're the same age. So yeah, I mean, yeah. I remember.
Wow,
I remember
you brought back some memories.
Well, I had to think about that, and it came across my mind last night because we were talking last night on the show with Josh about how during the last 3 weeks that a lot of people have been passing away, and how sad that is, but how weird it is that there's just so many that are passing away during this time. And I think that has a lot to do with this too. I mean, it's just a really weird time that we're going through. And I think that makes it even more interesting to watch and see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And there's so much unrest going in the world. I came home and I don't watch the news. I don't. I hate the news. Well, my mom has it on. And I come home and, here we are talking about Israel and the unrest and the strikes against this and that. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that we just, everybody needs just to find this peace and relax a little bit, because it's a strange time. It's a strange time.
Yeah, it really is. It's, I don't know.
You're like me. I don't know. And, I have to talk to people all day at work, and all these different people that I don't know. So, and I've noticed that everybody is starting to chill out a little bit. For like, I'm going to say last week, and then like a week and a half before that, they were all kind of up and like everybody was like on edge, and they were just, I wouldn't say attacking, but they were very snappy.
Right.
And now everybody's starting to chill out now. And I'm thinking maybe this is a good sign. Maybe it's a good sign.
Yeah.
That after this is all over, we can resume life as normal. That's what I'm hoping.
I guess whatever normal is,
Yeah. Whatever our normal is, I mean, we knew normal before COVID. I don't know what this is, wherever we're living in. This is not normal to me.
Yeah. I remember, when COVID first hit, I was reading the news and I'm like, what do you mean they're shutting down? Walmart shutting down, just talking about like,
right.
And then the first time I seen somebody wear a mask, I'm like, okay, this is really getting weird,
Right.
It was a weird time.
Right. It was, and my brother had caught COVID before they were even testing for it. So, I mean, he got it in February of 2020. And so my world was shut down quicker than anything. It was shut down before anything else. I was having to check my temperature and all this other kind of stuff before I went to work, because he came to live with us. And man, I'll tell you what, it hasn't been the same since. No. And that's sad.
It hasn't. Absolutely. It hasn't been. New normal. Kevin says, I saw a highway digital sign that said April 8th, eclipse, plan ahead.
Oh,
that's weird.
Well, what they're saying is get where you're going and stay there. They're planning on roads being congested, and then backups, and just all this other kind of stuff. They're just saying find your place and stay there.
Yeah.
And I agree. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to be on the highways and all this other kind of stuff. Give yourself time to do what you got to do and get where you got to go.
Right.
Just don't be rushing.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Crazy stuff on. We I don't know, like even at work, like, talking about like how weird the world is, it's been, the past few days. Like it really truly, like even at work, I too work with the public, and there's just a lot of crabby people too. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's not that they're attacking; they're just kind of snappy. Today I noticed a big change. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking to more people that aren't from here. I don't know, and that could be. But it's been they're not they're kind of crabby right now.
Yeah, they really are.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right.
They're cranky. There's a good word. Cranky. They're cranky.
So Deborah says Hill Country banks in Texas are closing on Monday.
Yeah. My daughter's school is closed on Monday.
So why are my kids going to school?
Well, my kids are located right in the smack dab center of town. They're right on that main highway going through town. So I'm assuming they're going to have issues getting them out of school or I don't know. But like I said, I could definitely tell today that there are more people within our community than what there was.
Right. It's just weird, isn't it?
It is kind of weird. I didn't get time. We were at school. That's where we built our boxes.
Right.
Why aren't they building boxes? Why aren't they doing this at school? I don't know. But for whatever reason, I am glad she will be home. I'm glad.
No, you're lucky. You're lucky. My kids will be at school, so it's all good.
I'll be at work. I mean, but I know she's home. That we don't have to worry about all that mess.
No, I get you. Let's talk something spooky for a few minutes until Josh comes. He is coming, guys, and he's going to tell us a story about the Rougarou when he gets here.
I'm excited. He started giving the teaser last night, and I'm like, oh, now I got to wait till tomorrow.
Right? That's what I'm saying. That kind of, yeah. Anyway, so I was watching a show, and this is just for me watching a show, and they were talking about exorcisms and things like that, and talked about like incubus and succubus.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And supposedly, now I've never heard this, and I've studied demonology, and so this was a new one to me. But they said like when they come and to a woman and assault a woman, that these entities hang out at cemeteries, and people who have recently passed, they use their DNA, we'll call it that,
to replicate them,
to impregnate these women.
Oh, I never heard that.
I haven't heard that either. That was all new to me. And I've studied demonology, and I thought, oh, I've never heard that.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? Lovecat said.
First of all,
unfortunately.
It's very disturbing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's very disturbing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never heard that. I don't know what to think about it. I mean, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, because I mean, I think that, there'd have to be something wrong, I don't know, mentally or physically or something that would allow you to be entertained by the succubus or the incubus. That's what I'm saying. There's got to be something up here. And it could be anything. It could be depression. It could be anything. So Oh my gosh, I don't know, Krista. That's just wrong.
I know.
Wrong.
I watched that like in the middle of the night. So, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I just never heard that. That's just, I don't know. It was just something to talk about. Sorry, I shouldn't have brought that one up. But yeah, JD Smooth also says, I've heard of it. It's
Well,
crazy.
okay. Well, yeah, I mean, okay, because you've heard it. Okay, go with me on this. You've heard of the doppelgangers, right?
Oh, yeah.
We've heard about all that.
Oh, yeah.
And they say that is you're like a demonic entity that is mimicking you or whatever somewhere else, blah blah blah. We've heard the theories. What if they're using the DNA from somebody who has just passed or whatever to impregnate or use for other things, and that's where your doppelganger is coming from?
Maybe. Debbie says, has anyone actually been impregnated?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, we've all read the weird stories.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I just can't wrap my head around it.
Right.
I'm not there with that.
Yeah.
I mean, but really, could that be where doppelgangers are coming from? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Chris says, if you see your doppelganger, it's an omen you're about to die.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But then, like, who's to say, okay, so now I'm going far out here now, okay? So bear with me. But, like women who get abducted, and say that they get impregnated. Could it be, a demon and not the aliens?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
I know Barton Nunnelly. He's a true believer that he doesn't believe in aliens. He believes they're all demonic. And I mean, I don't know any more. I mean, maybe he's right. I don't know.
But for me, I'm the opposite of that. I don't believe that we are the only beings alive in this whole universe. I believe there are other things. We just call them aliens. That's all. I just don't believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, but everybody, I respect that because I mean, who's right, who's wrong?
Right.
We don't know.
Right. So JD Smooth says, the way I was told that it possesses the man and then it impregnates the women through him. I don't know. It's just weird. That's all I know.
Well, yeah, I mean, but see, Krista brought up something that they were talking about on this program that they had said. Krista and I had never heard of it. So we're kind of like,
yeah. Well, then, like Werewolf says, Rosemary's Baby, we've.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. Bristol says that's basically L.A. Marzulli's thoughts on abduction. So,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just food for thought, guys.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it keeps me awake at night when I need to be going to work.
Yeah. Hey, Marquita, long time no see. And she says someone who's on Black Magic can see a doppelganger. She's seen her ex doppelgangers while we were at home. So.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
Right.
That's scary. That's scary.
Right. So I don't know. It's just weird stuff. Thank you. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Appreciate that.
Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what it reminds me of, testing. Can you hear me now? I'm not making fun of your name. I'm just thinking every time I see that, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
Shows you where my brain goes. Squirrel. That's what happens.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff out there though, and this just happened to be
but it makes me think. It really does. It makes me really think about all of this stuff,
I know. More so.
And we won't know the truth. We won't know the truth.
Nope. Not at all. So
even if the powers that be say it's real, We still don't know the truth.
Right. Right.
It's like, are they lying again, or what are they doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Shan Bay says, when are you ladies going to Bray Road? We're actually going over the summer. I really don't want to give away the exact dates just yet, but yeah, it will be in the summertime. We are going.
It's when all of our schedules coincide. So
yeah,
we're going to be doing that.
I'm really looking forward to doing that too. You know, we've been to the LBL, we've been to Falk, you know, we've been to a lot of the places, and this has been on our bucket list, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I mean, I'm excited about going there, but I'm also excited about having a group go to where Pancho Zort said that he had his encounter.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to go out there and check that out and see what that's like.
Yep. That's right here in Missouri.
It is.
Absolutely.
So I'm intrigued by it, and
Me too.
Because I keep saying there's weird stuff over here.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, it's going to be fun.
I think there's more than one Taylor Swift. There's got to be.
You never know. Who knows? You know,
she's the superwoman. So yeah, probably.
Yeah,
I would say
that.
Though
I know a lot of people don't like her, but honestly, I can't knock her. You know, I mean, look what she's done for herself.
I know she is. She's really just turned herself into something that people like, you know, and that she's making a lot of money doing it. She's living a good life, and
you know, she supports her boyfriend. You know,
right.
So,
but I am looking forward to getting back out in the field and getting to some new places. You know, we've been to the LBL, we've crawled at that place, and found a lot of cool stuff. But I want to see if there's more. You know, I understand the LBL is spooky, and it is beautiful, all in the same sentence.
Yeah,
but I want to try other places too. Of course, you know, we thought that you and I thought we would have an encounter at the LBL, but we didn't. It was elsewhere. So that's why I want to, you know, maybe get out in these other places that are less occupied, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Less used, run through, things like that.
Right.
And there's a lot of it.
When we had our encounter, you know, it was on private property.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So you want to talk about that real quick, Brandy?
Yeah, I don't mind talking about
it.
No, and it was really a really cool encounter, and I will get to the reasons why. I mean, of course, all encounters are cool for me, but this one was really unique. Because we had been out, we were sitting at the fire, and we were talking about that we were going to take a late night hike, and we were going to go out in the woods and see what we see. You know, we were all excited about it, got all of our equipment out, we were ready to go. Next thing you know, we were told, hey, there's a storm coming in. You know, it should be over in about 30 minutes. No big deal. We're like, okay. Well, rain was coming, and so I got my stuff out of the tent because I had a mattress and I was on the floor, and I'm thinking, you know, just in case it leaks or whatever, I don't want all of my bedding on the floor and it being wet. So I just smushed down my mattress and threw my blankets and everything that I had in there, I threw it in my car. Well, 45 minutes later in a monsoon, it finally stopped.
Yeah.
So with that being said, people lost their tents. They lost all their stuff.
Yeah.
We lost the food kitchen tent. We lost that. We lost the garbage that was bagged up and sitting in it was, you know, out and all over. The poles and everything were mangled, and it was terrible. It was really terrible. And it's like the trees, they weren't very big, but, you know, they were kind of thin, but you were watching them just be blown sideways. You know, I thought, oh, geez, here goes some trees. We're going to, you know, I wasn't quite sure of if there was tornado or straight line winds, but I'm pretty sure straight line winds came through because it just took the stuff and mangled it pretty much. And then, so we decided after, all of us got calmed down, everybody else who had tents went to bed, except for me and Kristen, a couple others. And we just sat up for a little while and we're talking and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was very late at night, and it was the latest night that we had actually stayed up at the fire, and we decided, hey, let's go to bed. Krista had went into her tent, and I just got in my car. Like I said, all my blankets, my pillows, all my stuff is in there. I've slept in my car a million times. No big deal. I just slept in my car. And I just crawled into the driver's side, put the seat back, and I laid down in it, and Krista went to bed. So now it's your turn, Krista. What happened?
So I was laying there, and I heard something from behind my head, and let's back up. I was on my phone first because I always play on my phone, play my game to go to sleep. Anyway, then I put my phone down, and then I heard something, and I actually saw what it was like a shadow. Well, it was a shadow. I couldn't tell what it was. I could tell it was bipedal, but I couldn't tell what it was from like the arm, the top of right before the shoulder up. And so it kind of freaked me out. There was another person there with us, and I'm not going to name that person. But anyway, so it kind of circled around a couple times, and then it was out there for a little bit. What I find weird, though, is that I had one of the cans of Pringles sitting right out in front of the tent, and it went untouched. Go figure. Guess didn't like
Which
Pringles.
was strange.
Yeah.
Like
Pringles. Anyway, so the sound kind of faded and from being right around us, and then I guess that's where it goes over more towards the tent next to us, where you actually saw it.
Yeah.
Not a shadow.
My car.
You actually saw it.
I saw it. I had my car parked in between our tent and then the tent next to us. My car was parked right in between there. And I'd been sleeping, and then I kind of heard this tapping noise kind of on the hood of my car. I didn't think much of it. I'm thinking it's raindrops, dewdrops, whatever. I just didn't pay much attention.
Yeah.
And then I heard something walking around my car. Now I'm thinking that it's Krista who had got up to go use the restroom. And, the girl code is no girl goes to the bathroom alone. Goes, I got to have a lookout, somebody watching, paying attention.
Right.
So I kind of sat up, I sat up real slow because I hadn't been sleeping for very long and I was so worn out.
Yeah.
And I sat up and I'm trying to focus on the tent. I didn't see nothing.
Right.
And I'm looking kind of all around the tent, and I'm like, I don't see any light. I don't see even the zipper open to the tent. And I don't think Krista would take the time to zip it all the way up to unzip it again to come back in. So I didn't even see that. So I'm just kind of there, and I was kind of panning around, and I turned towards the tent on the other side of my car off the passenger side door. When I looked right there, I saw something. Again, with the moonlight, it was shining kind of on the back of it. And I seen it standing there. And I'm trying to determine at that point, because I'm groggy, what is it? First thing I'm thinking is, who is that? I'm thinking it's a person. Again, groggy. And then I'm like, no, that's too big. And then I'm thinking a bear, because we were in bear country too. So that could have been a possibility. But there's strangeness about bears in that area, and I'll tell you that too. So I got to looking at it, and what it was doing is it was standing kind of partially behind the tent and then on the side of it, and it was doing this kind of motion, like just kind of swaying side to side, almost as if it were looking around. I couldn't tell if it was looking at me, because it had a clear view of me. If it had looked in my direction, or if it, because I couldn't see because the moon was on the back of it, I couldn't see. But this thing, I'm going to tell you that the chest was so wide that I knew right when I, got my wits about me, this is not a human and this is not a bear.
Yep.
It is not. And I watched it, like I said, sway like this. I had about 45, which is unbelievable. But I had about 45 seconds of a look at this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
I looked at it and I'm thinking, this thing's tall. And I'm saying about 6'5". It looked like my brother's height. That's how come I knew. And I'm like, it looks like my brother's height, about 6'5". Mm-hmm. It's super wide. And I just see it swaying. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't grab my phone. Mm-hmm. If I pick up my phone is programmed that if I pick it up, a light comes on. I don't want the light to come on.
Right.
And then I'm not seeing Krista move and I'm like, I don't want to honk my horn. This thing's not, being aggressive or anything like that. If it became aggressive, I thought, well, I can honk the horn or something. But then I didn't want to do that. Hey. So I didn't want to do that. So I just kept watching it. And finally I'm thinking, if this thing sees me, it could rip me out of my car, have me off in the woods before anybody could get out of their tent. This is how big this thing was.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I wasn't scared, but I did have a fear factor going on. Like if this thing sees me. So the only thing that I could think of doing at the time was kind of putting myself back down into my chair the way I was sleeping very slowly and put my sleeping bag back over my face, because when I'm cold, I will, I'll sleep all the way inside my sleeping bag to breathe into the bag to keep myself warm. So I will do that. But all I could do was think about is just curling up and making myself small as possible.
Yeah.
And when I did that, I kind of listened for a little bit. And then I heard some footsteps and then I couldn't hear them anymore. When I couldn't hear them anymore, it was like an adrenaline dump. I was out. There was no more. There was just no more.
And there was a lot of other people at camp too. And a lot of people heard it also in their tents. So, and there's a timeline, the whole 9 yards. There's impressions. Suji asked, where did that happen? It happened down in the Ozarks in Missouri. I can't get real specific. Yeah. It was private property, but it was pretty incredible encounter. And actually, Daniel Perez from Bigfoot Times was there. And Brandy made the cover of Bigfoot Times that following month.
I did. I looked like a bad lady. I tell everybody that I look like a bad lady. I had about 2.5 hours sleep, and everybody's up walking around, and I'm trying to tell my story. And he's like, "Okay, let me take a picture." I'm like,
"Yeah." I
just crawled out of my car, but okay. Yeah. So I had my picture, and I was on the front cover of this, and it was an experience that we will never forget, never, because I had, like I said, 45 seconds look at this thing, which is phenomenal. It wasn't running across the road. It wasn't going in between trees. This thing was standing there and it was swaying.
Yep.
And I'm thinking, hey, Josh.
Hey, sorry for the late. I had things I had to.
No problem. We were just talking about our Bigfoot encounter.
That was it.
Yeah.
I had to. As soon as I did a live stream and I was telling everybody I'm going to be here. And I said I was going to be about 15, 20 minutes late because I had another phone call after the live stream, which was with my legal counsel. And so had to talk. And so I took a little time. And so sorry about
that. You're good.
Right.
If something else, I would have not, been late, but it was kind of important. So
understand. No problem.
Things are the way they are, but they're only the way they are until they're not. And that's all we.
Yep, I listened to your live stream a little bit ago.
Yep. Unfortunately, that's where we're at. But that's, what? I tell people it's going to be okay. Because for me and the team talked about it. We're not going to get too much into it. But just to let everybody know that we're at peace with it. No matter whatever happens next, I'm okay. I'm happy. And I'm good with where I'm at in my life. And even if we don't have, PRT or the we have to leave the community to get peace. Well, we all agreed this morning. We had a long talk, all of us, and we came to the conclusion that it's been fun, it's been nice, but if push comes to shove and we need to do it for our own well-being, then we're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you have a lot of support, including us.
I know.
Exactly.
I'll stay friends with everybody if it does come to that. But I mean, the fact that we have to cancel the conference is a big blow,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is. We'll be all right.
Yep. You'll bounce back. I'm telling you. The good always come out on top.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. So we're going to talk a little Skinwalker, Rougarou.
Yeah, I do. I told everybody I was going to get started with you on this show. But so I guess let's get started. I mean, how many people we got in the chat? 216. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Would have liked a bigger crowd, but
they'll have to come back and watch it on the replay.
Yeah, hopefully they'll come back and give you some views. So here's what we had talked about. Somebody had given me a story, and it was a creole. Yesterday we talked a little bit about the Yaqui natives, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that later. I did look it up so I could get the words right, because I went back and I watched, and I thought, man, I sound so stupid. I'm trying to find the words, but nobody's perfect. I just,
That's right.
I try to hold myself
information.
accountable. I mean, if more people would do that, we'd be in a better place. But so I looked it up. I want to make sure that I got the words right. Now, it says here, the Yaqui conception of the world is considerably different from that of their European, Mexican, and European American neighbors. For example, many of they call themselves the Yomi, right? Believe that the universe is composed of overlapping yet distinct worlds or places called. I'm going to make sure I get this word right. Let me get my glasses on before I like to pretend like I'm younger than I am. I don't need glasses. I haven't got a LASIK yet, so
I've only started wearing glasses in the last couple of years. So
well, they look good on you. They look good on you.
Thank you.
I don't want to give too many compliments because the next thing you know, we're having an affair. So
right, we know how people roll.
You never know what you never know what them wacky people are up to. They like to tell the truth and all kinds of weird, archaic concepts. But it says here it's composed of overlapping yet distinct worlds or places called Aniam. 9 or more different Aniam are recognized. There's the Sea Ania, which is the flower world, the Yo Ania, enchanted world, the Tenku Ania, a dream world. And this is about what we talked about yesterday with the Yaqui Indians, the natives, which are found in places in New Mexico, Arizona, and Texas near the border. They have a small enclave of them here in Texas, near Eagle Pass. And then there were some that were near Piedras Negras. I don't know if they're still there. Some of them had moved their settlement. They had been at war with the Mexican government for a long time, since like 1827. So it's been a long time they've been fighting the Mexican government. And it's for their own autonomy. And they're very interesting people, and they do have some pretty interesting ceremonies. I've only gone to one, I don't want to call it a powwow, but it was like a get-together. And I went because my friend's at Kickapoo. And so he messaged me and he says, hey, would you like to go to a native get-together? This was back in 1999. And I said, okay. I'm sorry, 2009. My bad, 2009. I'm so old. The times run together. So in 2009, I went and I witnessed one of their ceremonies. And it's where they literally go into an altered state of consciousness. They do like prophecies and things like that. It's pretty interesting. Okay, so the word I was looking for was the Haya Ania. That was the word I was looking for, and I was butchering it yesterday terribly. But that's called the wilderness world. Okay? So the wilderness world, then they have another one that's the world underwater. They have one that's the world from the sky up through the universe. That's the heaven. So they can reach these alternate consciousness by doing these ceremonies. Now, one of the early observers of this was a Spanish monk, and he became notorious because he ended up running a mission in the Devil's Backbone, and his name was Espinosa, and he was supposedly like exceptionally cruel. The Mescalero Apaches, the Lapan, and of course the Yaquis did not like him at all, and so he would be shifted from mission to mission. Now, there wasn't a lot of people from Spain that were clamoring, hey, I want to go and possibly be killed by natives and die from whatever, the cold and the hunger and the heat.
Right.
Let's go to Texas where everything kills you. No, but so they couldn't just say, well, you know what, Espinosa, you've been a bad boy. You've done a lot of mean things to not just the natives, but to the other Spanish. He was exceedingly cruel. He would even kill some of the conquistadors who got out of line or dared challenge him or tell him that he was wrong. And so he was a despot. But the bishops and everybody said, look, you got to deal with this guy because we don't have a lot of people. So Mexico City was down there calling the shots in the name of the King of Spain. And they said, Espinosa, you've messed up, so we're going to move you to this other place. Well, he wanted to wipe out the Yaqui because he said that, in his words, they were out of control and that they were doing magic ceremonies in which they could manipulate time and space, like in the way that the world is a certain way that God created it. They don't observe that, and they can move around that. Mm-hmm. So he eventually got pushed out, and he got sent to the Devil's Backbone. And of course, there's books. A guy named Burt Wall who wrote books about the Devil's Backbone here in Texas. And then you got one in the LBL, but we got one here. And I've explored it extensively along with several of my other colleagues, Eric Palacios, David Wedley. We've talked about them. And we have had our own weird encounters in the Devil's Backbone. And one of my shows, one of the episodes we did, we encountered what we believe was the ghost of someone who had passed away. And we gave them a ride. It was a phantom hitchhiker. We've talked about this on our show, my brother, and there were 3 of our friends that were involved in this weird thing. So me and Big Rob, a friend of mine from the old days, and he's actually from Carrizo Springs, way down in South Texas. We all went to pay a visit to this tavern where we had dropped him off. That was a dilapidated building, okay? And the place next door was the likely candidate of the actual place where the bar was. Because we knew that this dilapidated building that he went into there's no way nobody could live there. And it's been torn down since. So we went into the bar and we talked to the people there, and we ended up talking to this guy's stepdad who said that, my wife's son passed away years ago. Showed us a picture of him on the wall, and we were like, okay, that's the guy that we gave a ride to. Long story short, we had to come to terms with it. It was weird, right?
Did he speak to you?
Oh, yeah. He interacted with us like a person.
Wow.
Yes, absolutely. You got to go back, folks, and listen to that episode. I don't remember which one it is. I think it's the 3rd one about Devil's Backbone.
Wow.
What I'm getting at is that this monk, he ended up in the Devil's Backbone, and he observed the Lipan Apache doing some of the same things that the Yaqui would do, which was this shape-shifting. And so he would take them and try to execute them and kill them. Well, one of the stories, and this is just a story that's been passed down through word of mouth. I heard it from somebody who told me this story at one of the taverns of the Devil's Backbone years ago, that supposedly the late, great Burt Wall told them, because Burt Wall was a great storyteller and he loved to talk about the Devil's Backbone. And we'll do this one first, and then we'll get into the Rougarou. Mm-hmm. So what he told this guy, well, it's a couple. They were a couple, and they like to ride their motorcycles. There's a lot of motorcycle people on the Devil's Backbone. The curves aren't terrible, but they're pretty fun if you have a bike, I'm told. I'm terrified of motorcycles. I got on one when I was 16. I flew 20 feet up in the air. That was it. Never got on one again. Mm-hmm. I will not. It's like sharks, lightning, motorcycles. I don't do them. I will not do them. My wife loves to ride bikes, and she's like, come on, let's get a motorcycle. I was like, I will die. Okay. You'll never get. Now, I did ride a dirt bike once, and it was fun. Mm-hmm. But not a motorcycle guy. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm very honest about things. So anyways, this person, and it was a lady named Margie, and it was her husband. And they told me, I can't remember his name, unfortunately, but I remember her. She was very boisterous, and she was very friendly. And she said that they had been living in that area for a long, long time. And they were, at that time, they were currently living right outside of San Marcos, which is in between that and Blanco, which is where the Devil's Backbone is. Mm-hmm. And so they said, look, there's a story that Burt Wall told me one time. And she said that it involved him, talking about the monk, the Spanish monk that he had done research on. And that they had found basically old documents that had said that this guy had witnessed the natives being unruly in the way that most people would not say, hey, unruly is not really the word. They were basically committing mortal sins by doing practices that involved ingesting chemicals that were found in various plants, and they were actually doing things that were against the laws of God. In other words, they were shape-shifting and changing into animals. And one of them performed a ceremony where he turned into a cat and he killed and ate one of the Spanish guards.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
And now the Comanches would regularly raid these missions to try to smoke out the Apaches. Their goal was not really the Comanches' goal was not really the Spaniards. They wanted the Apaches because the Apache is just a word. Actually, it's a Comanche word that means my enemy. So everybody was pretty much an Apache. I'm getting a text from work. Hold on one second, ladies. I'm going to deal with this. Hold on one second.
You're good.
I know. Doesn't it always happen? It's like when you're busy, something, somebody always needs something or wants something, or you got to answer somebody.
We'll use this as our little pause for Randy for the commercials.
Right, there you go.
Radio stations. There we go.
So that was it. It's just work stuff. I'm always working all the time.
Yeah,
Never stops. So where was I? So anyway, he tells them this incredible story. They tell me, and I believe Nellie was with us that day. And it was pretty cool. They had one of these like little machines where it was kind of like a slot machine, but you could win like credit or whatever. And we won like $250 or something like that in credit, and we just gave it to the couple. We were like, "Here, take it. You can have it, whatever." So it was fun. We had a fun time, and it was just a nice day out on the Backbone. Which most of the time it's very nice and it's uneventful, but sometimes weird things happen at the Devil's Backbone. Like when I took Nellie, me, Bettina, Maddie, Anthony, and Tony, and we all went out to the Devil's Backbone, and I thought we were just having fun. And I had a sandwich. I had stopped at Buc-ee's in New Braunfels, and I had gotten a sandwich, and I was just having a good time. And I said, "Oh, I hope we don't hear anything." And I was trying to scare the girls, and they were like, Bettina was already like, "Get in the car. I heard something. I saw something back there, blah, 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 blah." I said, come on. You're watching the Unsolved Mysteries, Right. And I guess, what's his name? Robert Stack, is that his name? He was doing the Devil's Backbone, blah, blah, blah. Just scaring the crap out of you, There's all these scary, spooky ghosts, and you're going to die, And so she's just like, "Get in the car. I don't know why you tripping, And I said, "That ain't nothing going to happen." Then I hear, like out in the middle of nowhere. And I'm like, so I stopped eating my sandwich and literally dropped half of it, which for me, that doesn't happen unless something's going on. I'm not going to drop food. And I was like, "Did y'all hear that?" And everybody was like, "Yes." And I said, "Wait a minute, hold on." And then it wasn't that loud, but it was, you can hear it. It sounded like a native or somebody screaming in the canyon down there, at the overlook. And you can't see anything at night. It's dark as hell out there, So I stopped and I said, wait a minute. I heard something else. And then we heard what sounded like a coyote. But in all honesty, I heard it sound more like a person pretending to be a coyote. Now, you can say that there was possibly a person out there. It was probably, I think it was like a Wednesday night. It was cold. Maybe somebody decided to run around in the canyon and scream like a coyote in the middle of nowhere. To what end? I have no idea why they would do that, but it was odd, to say the least. And so I was like, what the hell was that? And so I get back in the car and I said, okay, playtime's over. Maybe we need to leave, because it was getting closer. And then they were like, come on, man, let's go. So we all took off. And then, as we were driving back, back to civilization, everybody was spooked. Everybody was kind of freaked out, and everybody was on edge. And they were like, what the hell was that? And I said, I don't know. But the Backbone, it never ceases it never disappoints, never ceases to amaze me. So is there some truth to the legends and the myths that these natives, the Yaqui and the men, were they shapeshifting? Now, the Comanches gave their own reasons to the Spaniards as of why they didn't like these particular Apaches. One of the reasons was because, and get this, one of their chiefs, and he told this to a U.S. cavalryman years ago, and I read this like in some article, And I don't. It wasn't even like a spooky paranormal. It was like called Wild West or something like that. And I was reading it, and the Comanches said that one of the things that they didn't like, in particular about the Karankawas and the Tonkawas, that they were cannibals, and they killed and ate people with from their ceremonies. And what started a blood feud between their Kiowa allies and the Karankawas was that the Karankawas had captured some and ate them in their ceremonies and used their flesh and bones to shapeshift, to turn into cats and wolves and things like that. And the Kiowa claimed to have seen this. Now, the Kiowa had their own version of this, and they had a totem, which was a raven, a wolf, and a cougar. Those are like the main animals that they revered. And they would do these same ceremonies, but it involved animal blood. It didn't involve using human flesh. And they knew that these other Apaches were the allies of those particular natives. They were all kind of in it together as far as the Comanches were concerned. Their whole thing was to cleanse Comancheria of the other natives, because they said, quote unquote, they were impure and that they practiced bad things, bad medicine that went against the Great Spirit. Now, the Comanches were not a very ritualistic or spiritual people. They were very nomadic, but they tended to stay within a 400 square mile region, which is still quite a bit. But they roamed around that area, and it was called Comancheria by the Spaniards. And if you went into that area and you got caught flat-footed, you were going to die. There was no other way around it. If they caught you, they would kill you. They were pretty indiscriminate about who they killed, too. And it wasn't just a war against the white man. Pretty much everybody was an Apache. If you were not a Nurmina, the people, Comanche tribe, and there were about five main ones and then one smaller one they called the Antelope Eaters that were a little more nomadic and further to the southwest. But they when they came across other Nurm, they were okay with them. Okay, it's like you go in peace. But if you weren't part of their deal, you were going to be in trouble. And these Apaches that they were fighting had been a big problem for the Spaniards for a long time. And of course, eventually, the Spaniards and the Comanches made a truce to wipe out these Apaches. The one thing that the Spaniards did appreciate about the Comanches is, and there's a guy that has a YouTube channel. You can go and look this up. And Anthony, if you're in there, I don't know if you're listening, but maybe you can put the link to that guy's channel, because we were listening to him the other day talk about this, and he's spot on. He's really good at the history of the Old West. But if you want to learn more about it, and so what they did was they were in perpetual warfare with these Apaches, but they agreed with the Spaniards that they were evil, and that what they did was completely sacrilegious, that they would ingest blood and chew on bone, human bone, and things like that, in order to achieve their shape-shifting abilities. And sometimes when the Comanches came across certain animals, they would let them sit for at least a day or two, because if it was bad medicine that these Apaches were doing, they would turn back into humans. And then so if they didn't, they could eat them. Now, the Kiowa had the same practice. Some people say that the Cheyenne and the Lakota even did the same thing, because they were dealing with, and in particular for the Lakota, the Pawnee was one of their main enemies. And they claimed that the Pawnee were really bad about changing into birds, which is something you hear about in Mexican culture, and in particular the Yaquis. We go back to the Yaquis, and I'll say it again. I'll tell you what I looked up earlier. There was a type of animal that came from the Tika Ania, the world from the sky up through the universe. Now, the Yaquis, who actually managed to stay friends with the Comanches because they didn't use blood in their ceremony or human flesh. They were not, and those that practiced that were shunned. They were not considered to be part of the tribe. You went off and you did your own thing, bad stuff. You didn't do what you're not supposed to do. That's very bad. So they called it bad medicine, right? But bird-like beings would come from the heavens, and sometimes they would land on your windowsill or whatever, the teepee, whatever you're staying in, the adobe hut, And if it was a white bird, then you were called. If it happened 3 times, you were called to go and become the name of it again. You were called to become a tika. So if you were called, then you were you. But if it was a blackbird, then it was not necessarily for you, but it was a warning that someone in your family was going to go stray from the path and become a bad guy.
Oh, wow.
So that was the situation that they were dealing with. So you were like, oh boy, you don't want this, like I said, we just released a song, and this is perfect timing because we're going to play it on the show when we start the show tonight.
Cool.
And it's called Bad Medicine. And one of the lyrics in there, it says that my ancestors are crying. And it really tugs at my heart because I am part Native. I don't go around going like, yeah, man, I'm Comanche, blah, 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 and making a big deal out of it. But yeah, my grandmother. But the thing is, it does tug at my heart because the song, the way that Nelly wrote the song, what she wrote in the lyrics basically are saying that the lyrics tell you, that it's a sad thing. It's horrible what this guy is doing, and his ancestors are crying, because they're weeping for the sin that he is committing against the Great Spirit. And believe it or not, a lot of these natives did believe in an overall, all-encompassing universal God. And so this is something that you see in these accounts, these historical accounts. And sometimes you can look through a magazine. Like I used to read Wild West. I used to read military history. And you'll find little tidbits about these people and their practices. And it's paranormal. And you're going like, wow, I did not know that. It's interesting, though, that they're saying this because, you're learning not only about history, but about the practices of which could be considered magic and what these people did. Now, I call it manipulation of the matrix, but you can call it whatever it is. Mm-hmm. The practice of becoming an animal, shape-shifting into some sort of beast. One of the stories told by Burt Wall, very interesting to me, was the story of a goat man that was tracked down into a cave after he had slaughtered a bunch of cattle and killed a couple people. And it goes back to the 1890s. And the ranchers got together and they killed it because it was preying upon their livestock and upon people. Wow. And of course, down in Purgatory Road, there's a legend about a creature that looks like a black goat man like creature, and it will come out and chase people. Now there's also in that same area near the cemetery a black dog that does the same thing. Very interesting when you stop and you take a look at the similarities. Mm-hmm. These anthropomorphic beings that seem to just proliferate all throughout that region. They're everywhere. And when you start to read these encounters, there's Bigfoot, there's Dogman, there's Goatman, there's all kinds of stuff out there. And you could literally spend days out there, just listening to people who live in that area talk about these encounters of what they've seen on their way home from work. When we were driving out there, Bettina and Natty and Nelly claimed that they saw something. Nelly kind of said, well, she's like me. She doesn't want to claim that it's an encounter if she doesn't see it straight up, whatever. Right. But they saw what looked like a deer standing on its hind legs. And I was not shocked at all or freaked out by that. And I told Bettina when she saw it and screamed and freaked out. And I said, that's par for the course because there is a lot of Native American lore out there. Mm-hmm. And there are people who are Native who live out there. And it wouldn't surprise me if there are not deer. And that is what we call locally here, not deer, basically somebody who's pretending to be a deer. Mm-hmm. Then the story we talked about last week on Friday at my show, I don't know if you heard it, but Monica Rollins was on with Abe Sias and Joe Breezy. And when we talked about the deer that were being chased across the path, by this bear who turned into what looked like a werewolf in front of this couple, Abe brought up a very good point. He said, what if they were all together and this bear man was not actually chasing those deer? They were all part of the same team. Very interesting observation. Wow. That's why it's good to have the different people with varying opinions and things.
Absolutely.
So that's pretty much that, the whole story of the legend and lore there. I could go away. We could go all night just about the natives and their beliefs and the different aspects.
Right, absolutely.
But that's what we were talking about last night with Shane Michael Crisp. And happy birthday to your son, Shane. Shane's he's a good energy guy.
Yes.
Yes.
But I was sitting there and I was pouring through some accounts that we had gotten in that area. And then a lot of them are just, I saw something in the shadowy on the side of the road or whatever. But then sometimes you get one that's really, really good. And so, I don't know if I'm going to have time to get into the Rougarou one. Because we're talking about the Skinwalkers of Devil's Backbone. So I don't know if we should talk about that one or if we should try to cut away and then go to the other story, because we have about 20 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit longer. Yeah, just right in there, because you still have to take time and get to your own show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me take some questions from the audience, and maybe they can tell us which way we need to go.
Okay. Leave it open to everybody there. What do you guys want to hear?
Rougarou, what do you want to hear?
And if you have any questions about what I'm talking about, or if you want any kind of confirmation, just don't hesitate to ask, folks. Just
right. Absolutely. Chat's moving fast on my side. Paul says Rougarou. Moon at Noon wants to know where you'll be for the eclipse, Josh.
Safe.
There you go.
Spillin wants to know. Yeah, Spillin wants to know, what do you know about not deer?
Who is this again?
Spillin T.
Oh, Spillin T. Oh, of course. Hey, Spillin T, of course. So, what I know about not deer, there was a guy who, his name is Mark DeLeon, who was on a podcast years ago, and he's a good friend of mine, and he saw 3 of them. And Mark he's very open, and he's talked about it on people's shows. And it happened, Mathis. It was in between Mathis and Corpus Christi. And so Corpus, that's down in South Texas, and Corpus is a very large town or small city down there in South Texas. You go beyond Corpus, and then there's like nothing for like 2 or 3 more hours. And there's many small towns that are full of weird stories, of wild stories of cryptids and ghosts and whatever.
Right.
There's nothing else there. I mean,
Right.
Supposedly the sub-nature doesn't like to be around us. Well, that's the perfect place because there's nothing there. But the area between Mathis and Corpus is kind of desolate too. But he was out hunting, and he saw 3 of these beings. They were deer. Before he could take a shot, they stood up and began to walk around their hind legs. Now, before you think, oh, that sounds crazy, whatever, remember this. There are multiple people who have claimed to see this. This is not just him.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I can tell you, get some honey lemon tea for my throat here. One thing I can tell you is that there are a lot of stories that come out of Texas, and in particular Central Texas, where I live, and South Texas too, that involve the not deer. Not deer could be something akin to a shaman that shapeshifts, just like into a wolf, but they turn into a deer to hide. Now, one of the advantages of being a deer is that they're very swift. And if you're running and trying to get away, well, that would be the animal to turn into. And if you want to blend in and just be like not seen by humans and just not going to pay attention to you, you're going to want to take the form of an animal that's not going to be too conspicuous. If you see a large wolf running, you're going to be like, whoa, that's a wolf. Look, Right. But if you're driving down the road and you just see a doe, which some of these take the form of doe, and that's what Mark saw, was like, if I remember correctly, the story that he told me after he had been on that other show was that they were just, like doe. They weren't these large antlered ones that you're going to try and shoot and make a trophy out of. They were just like, but they didn't know they were being watched. He didn't think they were, that they didn't know he was looking at them. and they stood up on their hind legs. Now, there was another guy named Stephen who was near Robstown. Now, that's on the other side of Corpus Christi. And like I said, if you want to do some really weird searching, whatever, go near Lake Corpus, which is, it's weird because Corpus Christi it abuts up against the ocean, and there's a beach, and then there's Port Aransas about 15 miles on the other side of a bridge, which is beautiful, has a very beautiful beach, but it's loaded with bull sharks and tiger sharks. So if you go too far out, maybe 100 yards, be careful. The largest tiger shark recently was caught there. It was like 16 foot. So, but it is a beautiful beach, like I said. Mm-hmm. I scare the crap out of you. So then you go on the other side of Corpus Christi is Lake Corpus Christi, which is a freshwater, whatever. But I've heard legends and stories that there are sharks in that water. Now, reason being is because there's been several hurricanes and the water from the ocean connected to it briefly. So a lot of people claim that the brackish water has bull sharks. So there are legends that bull sharks exist in Lake Corpus Christi. I personally don't know what I believe about that. I'm just telling you, the listeners, because it's a cool story. But I don't know anybody that's personally told me that. I've just heard the story that they are there.
Well, there's also bull sharks are known to swim up to the Mississippi as far as St. Louis.
Oh, yeah.
So,
oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a river in Africa.
I believe it's possible.
Oh, for sure. But there's a river called the Zambezi, and they claim that there's so many crocodiles and bull sharks in that river that the legend is that nobody's ever swam across it. Now, having seen this river, I thought the reason nobody swam across is because the damn thing's half a mile wide. Like,
right.
You're giving crocs and bull sharks a lot of credit, but still, I mean, you probably get pretty tired, and the current looks pretty rough. So, probably why. But when you stop and you look at these beings or whatever, that people are talking about, these shapeshifters or whatever, to me, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that they could probably take the form of a shark if they wanted to. Now, the Menehune, we've talked about that on the show from Hawaii, not to jump all over the place, but I did a show with a guy named Kevin who came on and talked all about the legends and hold on one second, folks. Can't not get away from stuff. What is this? That's from the people that are. Oh boy, get alive, people, please. Okay, so so the legends and the stories are that there is a massive a population of shark shapeshifters at one time, right, in the history, and they were waging war with their human descendants to help them. King Kamehameha, who was trying to unite the tribes or whatever, and with the help of some Portuguese allies, he succeeded, mostly just through the use of gunpowder. But they supported him, and then they ended up like defeating their enemies. And when you look at some of the stories that come out of this conquest, there were shark people that were coming out of the water and taking people. And it terrified these smaller islanders. And so they gave up. They were like, no, we don't want none of this. Mm-hmm. We can't fight these European gunpowder army along with these massive, Hawaiian army, and then there's shark people attacking us. So they were overwhelmed, and each island eventually submitted and became unified. Sounds brutal, but in the end, it did unify them as one place. And so it all became, one place. And in the long run, it benefited them up to the point where I guess I could say more encroachment from colonialism, But when you look at these stories and these legends, like I do believe it's very possible that we are dealing with shapeshifters. How many times you get stories of like Dogman? Right. We're starting to see stories of Goatman and Bigfoot, and not just those, but now deer people, which I don't think is a new phenomenon. Somebody was trying to say on another show the other day, and I'm not going to say anything about it, but I disagreed. They were saying, oh, it's a new phenomenon. No, it's not a new phenomenon. It's something. I mean, if you look at the movie Thunderheart, it's a movie about Val Kilmer. And Val Kilmer, when you look at him, he looks kind of native. You know, he does kind of have the high cheekbones and all that.
He does.
But Kilmer definitely, he plays a native in that, and they keep calling him the Washington Redskin because he's from Washington and he's trying to solve these murders or whatever's going on. And so whenever you watch that movie, pay attention, because at one point he's chasing a suspect and he sees a deer jump over the fence and that deer runs away. And the natives are like, yeah, that was him.
Right.
You know? It's very common, and the natives are like, they don't make any bones about it. You know, my cousin was with a Shoshone woman for about 4 years. He ended up on the Wind River Reservation. He may even be listening to the show. Shout out to him if he is. But he came on my show, and he talked at length about the shapeshifters and everything at the Wind River Reservation from the Arapaho and the Shoshone, because they share it. One is in the east, one is in the west, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs, the BIF, had actually come and extracted a skinwalker from one of the cells when he was there. Like, he was talking about this. He talked about it like it was happening to someone else, because he didn't want, because this, even him being a white man, this is my dad's side, you know, being there, he's like, he was still apprehensive to talk about it, because it was like something that the natives didn't do. They pretended like, hey, you know, this isn't happening.
Right.
And they tried to mind their own business. But the guy was in like mid-transformation. And he was writhing around on the ground, and they came and they took him. They extracted him, and they were wearing like these suits or whatever. And I don't know how in detail he went into on the show about it. But, you know, talking to me off air, it was very... It was freaky. Like, everybody was like freaking out. So a bunch of the natives just kind of sat down in a circle and began to like pray, and we're just hoping that situation would be taken care of. And it was a very real fear, because people that do this kind of thing, these shapeshifters, whatever you want to call them, whatever name you want to give them, for whatever tribe you're in or whatever tribe you're associated with, they all have them. And so when something like that happens, somebody goes to jail, according to some of the people, what they told my cousin was, and including his girlfriend, it's not uncommon for them to do that, for them to like bug out and start to change, because they're committing criminal activities. So most shapeshifters nowadays, they're not doing it for the good of the tribe. They're not just a medicine man who's trying to help, you know, by hunting food for the tribe. Sure. They're doing it because they want a leg up. They're doing it because they're dealing drugs, or they're doing drugs, or they have some sort of malicious intent, or they want to hurt someone or do something to someone.
Some type of revenge or something. Yep.
And so they get power over somebody. So what they end up doing is they go to jail, and then whatever it is wears off, they start bugging out, and if they are allowed to change completely, they can become very powerful and strong. Now, he didn't say anything about incredible hulking, breaking bars, stuff like that, but they could become very dangerous. And he's like, there was a very real fear in the jail there of being put in with a skinwalker, with someone who could bug out and attack you. Right. And I heard the same story from a friend of mine. I used to call him Gallo, which is rooster in Spanish, but Gallo had told me he was locked up down in Mexico. And he was down in, what the heck is the name of the town? It's a little town right outside of Monterrey. But it's called, it doesn't matter. Anyway, it starts like a D. But like, he was in this little town jail, and they shipped him up to Monterrey. And he told me a story of someone who had been practicing brujeria, and that they basically were climbing backwards up a wall, like just, and like, they were stuck on the wall, and there were like 20 of us in the tank with this guy, and everybody was freaking out because they thought we're about to die. And so everybody started screaming, hey, 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 getting the guard to come, and getting the guard to come and get this dude the hell out of this tank, because he's going to kill everybody. And they said his arms were, the forearms in particular, and Guile told me, he told my brother, he told Scorpion, he told all of us, he told Squid, a bunch of us. And y'all know Starscream. I think he was there too. He told all of us this crazy story. Wow. And he said the guy's arms were elongating, and he was like, and then his jaw was moving around, and they were like this dude is turning into a creature. Hello. And so they freaked out, and everybody was on one side of the cell. And then a couple of the inmates got brave and decided to go and try to hit him and get him off the wall and get him under control, because the guards started trying to spray him with water. And they asked them to help them get him off the wall so that they could go in and get him under control. And he ended up biting one of them and like tearing a big chunk of his flesh out. Eventually, the guards came in, they got suited up, and they drug him out. Now, when I compared notes to that case with the case that my cousin saw, and his good friend who was a Shoshone himself, or he was a Arapaho, he said the cases were very similar. Like, this actually does happen. It happens in Mexico with the Indian population there, and then it happens here in the United States. And of course, if you're not involved with the tribes and you're not part of the BIF, you're not going to know about this.
Right.
But supposedly the federal government came, they extricated this guy, they put him in a cage, literally helicoptered him in a cage below the helicopter and took him out. Now, as incredible as that sounds, since talking about that story, I've had 2 more people come forward and tell me that they have seen something like this. One of them was in a county jail that was adjacent to a reservation. And I don't have enough time to tell that story, but anyway, you get the point. You know, you see what I'm saying. And folks, I'll tell that Rougarou story, whatever. But I just, you know, this is a fascinating subject, and I could go on and on and on about it.
How common do you think shapeshifters are? Like,
oh, I think it's a lot more common than we thought it was.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say like 1 in 1,000 people are running around.
Right, but
you know, but I would say, you know, in a city, let's say Austin has about 1 million people and 2.6 around the area, whatever. But I'm talking about just Austin.
Right.
If there's 1 million people in this city, and we took everybody that knew how to shapeshift, and this is me saying some crazy crap. Y'all probably gonna be like, "Wolf's just crazy. He done turned the corner. Let's put him in a straitjacket and put him in the, you know, nut house." I'm going to say that you would probably have at least a few thousand people in this city who could do it.
Wow.
I would say that.
That's scary.
It is scary.
That is scary.
It can come from interdimensionals because they can do it. And then it can come from the spiritual aspect of some people that can cause the illusions, like with the Yatkes, you know, they have a being that they call him the Lord of Illusion. There's a lot of natives that do. There's a great spirit, but then there's the illusion one. And the illusion one, they're smart about this. Believe me, people think the natives are just dumb, and a lot of people think, oh yeah, we're just going to use what they and just cherry pick. No.
Yeah.
One of the things that a lot of them have told me too over the years, this Lord of Illusion, he's the master of this world. Now we know that because Jesus tells us that. You know, which is funny to me because people still don't believe when I tell them that the way that they believe is not correct, because they're not listening to Christ when he tells you that the master of this world, he says the God of this world is Satan. And Satan is known as the Lord of Illusion. I mean, hell, there's even a Slayer song about it, like Lord of all Illusion, whatever. And Slayer, obviously, they can say what they want, but it's pretty much satanic. You know, I used to like to listen to them. I won't anymore. It's because I don't like the negative energy that comes from their music. But you know, they're not joking around when they say that. These people that are telling you this, they're telling you the truth. And a lot of them came from being raised up that this is just how it is. The spirit world. Now you can change it into the modernity of what we have, but it doesn't change what is. Like this ball right here. You know, this is considered to be matter. You know, it's not as dense as a lot of things. It's a stress ball because I'm under a lot of stress because of dickheads. But the bottom line is, this is not true matter. Like, you know, you can just like make it disappear in a heartbeat. That's prestidigitation. But what I'm saying though is like you can actually physically, literally, as Ron Moorhead said in one of my posts, he said it right there. He said, you know, he goes, everything's vibration.
Yeah.
When you're on a certain vibration, things disappear, things appear.
Yep.
Yeah. There are people that practice real magic. I saw it downtown. I saw a guy make fire come out of his fingers. It was unbelievable. And I was like, okay, I'm staying away from that guy because there was no trickery. There was nothing on his, it was just his skin.
Mm-hmm.
He wanted to touch me and shake my hand to prove to me. And I said, I saw what you did. And everybody thought it was some amazing trick that he was doing. And he confessed to us one night at the end of the night. He told us. I said, I already knew that. I mean, because one thing I saw on under his arm was an Egyptian symbol. And I was like, I saw that. And I said, what is that? And I already knew the answer. He's like, well, you already know. And I said, yeah, I do. But I want to hear you say it. And that was it. He never talked to me again. But the bottom line is that, that's what we're dealing with, you know, and people can say it's crazy and it's nuts or whatever, but it's just the truth.
Right. You know, Glenn makes a good point here. He said, I read somewhere that cartels have a major presence on the reservations. I wonder if shapeshifters are teaming up with them.
The cartels, one of the stories that I've heard, and when I first heard this, it was like, I thought it was BS. And I thought it was one of these like urban legends. But I can tell you this, having dealt with people from that type of whatever, I would put nothing past it. And they supposedly had a dog man, someone that was an actual dog man, like a person that was that way all the time. But they started out as a person and it was put on them as a curse. And now that person lives as a savage beast for the rest of their life. Now, that sounds like a bunch of hokey pokey bullcrap, made up story. Folks, believe me, it's not. Because when I started delving into it, we started getting more and more stories. One of the stories we told, go and listen to the episode, The Devil Lives in Durango. I don't know if it's that one. That one's, I think it's about a Minotaur type creature, but there was something connected to that one. I know it was one of the guys that told us that story, that his cousin that lived in a neighboring village said that one of the narcos, and I know there was one down in, dang it, it's Sinaloa. I can't remember the name of the city.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's one of the cities down in Sinaloa, and this one is not about the one in Durango, but it's the same thing. And then we heard another one of these people, these beings, these shapeshifters that work and do things for them. I mean, you know, it sounds nuts, but I mean, what better way to guard your? I mean, if these beings that came years ago, thousands of years ago, if they are responsible for the genetic tampering and messing with of our genes, and they were able to manipulate and turn these people and canines into the dog man to guard their stargates, why wouldn't the narcos be able to do the same thing?
Right.
It's all just magic, right? But like I said, magic is just science that we haven't figured out yet.
Right. You're absolutely correct in that.
That's true.
Huh.
Well, we are at the hour and a half mark.
Already, just gone. It's just gone.
Yeah.
We didn't even have time to do anything else. That was it. Gone.
How many people we got?
I hate that.
We got almost 300 people.
300 people.
293.
Got a good crowd. You got the usual suspects. I see War Criminal in here. I see Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, my buddy Boomer.
Yep.
You know, Missy Bash and everybody, Brother Heck, and who do we got? Diane. We got a lot of the usual suspects here. Hopefully, you guys moon at noon. Follow me over to Paranormal Roundtable. We're going to get started and we're going to do our show.
What, in about 30 minutes or so, maybe?
As soon as I get off here, I'm just going to fire it up and go. I'm here in the studio because I'm having to spend more time at home because, you know, all this crap that's going on. My wife's a little upset, you know, and
Gotcha.
so I got to stay home in case somebody decides to come into my house. Please do. See what happens.
I hear you.
Folks, I don't want anybody to come to my house. That is not an invitation. I'm just saying.
You're not asking for any guests. No.
No, not at all.
Although for those that I love, I will do great and terrible things, like my shirt said the other night. And
there you go.
I hear you.
Do what I got to do.
Right.
But you know, folks, just check it out, man. Come and check us out and show some love to Blondes of Booze. Give them all of your love because they deserve it. They're hardworking ladies. I can't say enough good about them. They do a lot of great things. And if you would just subscribe, give them the subscriber numbers. Tell people to go and subscribe.
That would be awesome. Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks to everybody out there that does it or is going to do it or has done it. We appreciate you.
Yep. And thank you to 1234, Mr. Boomer,
Mr. Boomer.
Brother Heck, and Hunter 1014. Thank you all very much.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah.
Well,
So hop over to Paranormal Roundtable. Brandy, I know most of you are from Paranormal Roundtable, so you do know the link, but Brandy has dropped it in chat tonight a few times too. So hop over there and let's finish this.
Yeah, and we're
let's finish this. It sounds like Mortal Kombat. Let's finish this.
Do you guys want to jump on with us?
Sure.
Okay.
I can't tonight. I have to work early in the morning, but thank you for the offer. Krista will jump on.
Yeah, send me a link.
You need to start sleeping 5 hours a night like me.
That's all I'm getting.
It'll make me, well, then you should be super smart then. If you I literally joke with people, but it's not a joke. I tell people, they're like, how do you read so much? I said, because I dedicate 2 or 3 hours a day to it. Not just reading encounters. I do that too, but I'm up 19 hours a day. So, I mean, hell, it'd be a sin if I didn't do something with it, you know?
Right. Right. I hear you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I do have to tell you, it's kind of like something that I do when I start to read things, like if I'm trying to put myself to sleep or to wind down, I read a lot of stuff that has nothing to do with real life, that has nothing to do with anything that I do just so I can wind down. You start putting stuff in front of me like cryptids or questions, things that we've been talking about. I'll be up all night long. I can't do that.
I do the same thing.
Well, let's hope that everybody pray for Brandy, because Brandy's got a parasite that is draining her energy and making her sleep too much.
There you go.
There you go. It's called work, and among other things.
I don't know what you call it. Is that what you call that thing? Did you give it a name?
Actually, I've been ignoring that thing, and we've been pretty cool lately. It's like I said, I've been ignoring it, just whatever.
You can't ever be cool with that.
I'm not cool with it. I'm cool with just ignoring it, and it's just
At the risk of sounding
the
like a new age weirdo, but this is something that you can do. Pray, and always when you pray to God, you pray through the name of Christ. Yep. Let me tell you what you got to do. You got to focus. This thing, if you focus, you'll see it. Okay, it'll be attached to the lower part of your spine and up into your upper back. You'll see it. It's like a traveler, like a whatever, and you have to burn it off with white light. And if it comes to you in your dreams, you have to choke it. And I'm not joking about that. I'm being dead serious. That is anybody. I'm telling you.
And I do understand what you're saying, because I'm at the point now, F around and find out mode. You know what I mean? It's just to the point where I'm done with this. I'm done being tired. I'm done, hearing things, seeing things. It's so annoying, because you can't live your life in anything normal or resembles normal with these things going on. But you know what? Like I said, I do pray about it. I do, I do the sage, I do the smudging, I do all the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing. And so far we have been pretty quiet. We've been real quiet. Now, whether this thing is gone or it's just bored, but it's not bothering me anymore. So I'm thinking it's kind of scooted on.
Well, maybe you get rid of it, but if you come across it when you sleep, if you start to come across something regularly, it's probably an attachment.
Okay.
Just because you sleep don't mean that they sleep.
That's right. I mean, why would they need to?
Yeah. Well, they got you as an energy.
I mean, yeah, they're sucking all of my energy out. Why would they need to rest?
Sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get off here so you can get on your show. Yep. And I gotta get my stuff ready for work tomorrow.
All right. I'll see you, Brandy. Christy, I'll see you over at the show.
Yep. Send me a link.
I will.
All righty.
See everybody later. Bye.